Hi, and welcome to the show. We are going to have a wonderful time talking to an award-winning illustrator. You know, most of the times I have a lot of authors on this show, so I'm really excited to see the illustrative part of the art of writing coming up next right here on The Right Stuff. Stay tuned.
You are listening to the best, the only place to be on Tuesday nights. That's right, you're listening to The Right Stuff, and you're at the right place at the right time. From England to Canada, from Detroit to the Poconos, we are showcasing Christian authors worldwide, giving you tips, tools, techniques, and resources for you, the writer, to hone and perfect your craft. Tune in every Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time right here on WPJC 104.5. And your host, Parker J. Cole.
Hi, and welcome to the show. I am so glad you are here with me, the queen of Tuesday nights, Parker J. I'm really excited about today's show. We're going to be talking to an award-winning illustrator, Jan Spivey Gilchrist. She has won numerous awards for her artwork, and I cannot wait to talk to you about that in just a few moments. As always, I want to thank you for your support of my books, the Sins of the Flesh series, The Cure that just came out in January, Dark Cherub, and all of my writing that you've all been so supportive about. Letting you know that my newest book will be coming out this month. I'm very excited about that, and I'll give you more details as soon as I push the enter button on formatting and doing the covers and all that good stuff. I'm really, really excited about that. This will be my 9th book. Now, why do I mention that to you? I mention that this is my 9th book because I want to encourage you authors out there who want to write to pick up the pen and write. If you don't pick up the pen and write, who is going to hear your message? What message do you want to share with the world? You can't share the message if you don't pick up that pen and write. So that's why I want to encourage you to write today. Also, I want to tell you that I will be at the Southern California Christian Writers Conference this year from June 22nd through the 24th. I'll be teaching 2 workshops there. So if you're in the La Mirada area, go ahead and join that conference. I would love to see if you're a fan, you want to come see me at that conference. I'll be there again from June 22nd through the 24th. You definitely want to go to that writers conference. You're going to get a lot of information there. There's all types of workshops. Yours truly will be teaching a workshop. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you there if you're in the La Mirada area. It's going to be held at Biola University, which is a major, major repository of great apologetics and Bible teachers in the Christian faith. So you definitely want to go there to the Writers Conference. If you want to just look up, go to SoCal CWC, just Google that in your internet browser, and you get a lot of information about that conference. If you want to weigh in on our topic, you certainly can by calling in at 646-668-8485 and then press 1 to be live on air, or hit me on Twitter at Parker J. Cole, #RightStuff with your questions and comments. We're going to go ahead and take a quick short break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Don't go anywhere. More with Parker and her guests on the Right Stuff Radio Show. We'll be right back.
Question: if you write a book, everybody will rush out to buy it. Obvious answer, no. If you were a celebrity or if you had a huge marketing budget, then maybe you can get a lot of exposure for your book. Another solution would be to check out joeytweets.com. joeytweets.com is a promotion and marketing service with access to over 1/3 followers on Twitter. joeytweets.com has 3 packages available to fit any budget. That's joeytweets.com. joeytweets.com. Get some serious exposure for your books.
Hi, is your book club in need of some fresh and exciting questions to ask club members and authors at your next book club meeting? Literations, the book conversation game, is 70 thought-provoking questions to really get into an in-depth discussion about the books you and your club members are reading. These questions really get into the characters, the storyline, and into the author's head. These questions may just give you and your book club members a whole new way to get into a new conversation, a literation. Literations is also a great set of tools for bloggers, interviewers, and authors to use a discussion question. Are you ready to get lit? Please visit our website at litversations.com, LITERVERSATIONS.com. SATION.com. And please like our Facebook page at Simply Said Reading Accessories. Thank you.
We're back, and you're hanging out with the queen of Tuesday night, Parker J, and her guests, right here on The Right Stuff.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. You're listening to The Right Stuff here on WPJC 104.5. So glad you are with me. We are going to be talking to an award-winning illustrator, Jan Spivey Gilchrist. She is the author of such children's books such as The Great Migration, Journey to the North, Nathaniel Talking, and My America. Her books have received numerous awards, including the Coretta Scott King Medal for Illustration and the Parents' Choice Award. So you're going to be talking to a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful illustrator today. And I want to thank you so much, Jan, for being with me on the show. Welcome.
Hi. Hello. How are you? This is great.
I am fine. Just having a great time talking with you. And like I said, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the show. I really want to talk to you because I know a lot of children's authors out there who wants to work with an illustrator. And so part of our conversation, I know you're going to help us, how do we navigate that relationship? What was your journey like? Lots of good stuff we're going to talk about throughout our broadcast today. But before I do that, I do have a caller calling in. I have Alma calling in, I believe, from Chicago. Alma, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. Okay. I just wanted to. Hi, Jan. How are you?
I actually know Alma.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, just give me
what I wanted to say was I didn't want to miss the chance to call to compliment her on her body of work. And this has nothing to do with her knowing me. This has to do with the level of professionalism and the sense of understanding she has brought to children's literature. So I just wanted to not miss this opportunity to compliment her on a lifetime body of work, because I've known Jan since she was 14, and she has always worked toward presenting images in the best possible way, and especially those images that concerned Black people, but always all images. So I just wanted to compliment you, and that's why I called in.
Thank you. How beautiful. I never knew she was going to say that. Thank you so much. But I didn't. I actually didn't even. I sent a blast out. Didn't even know.
No, she didn't know because.
Yeah, thank you.
She didn't know I was going to call, but when I had the opportunity to call at this time, I just did not want to miss that. And sometimes because we know people in our certain little sphere or we've known them, sometimes we pass by them and not really think of what they have really accomplished and the credit that they have brought, not just to themselves, but to our lives. And as I said, a body of work over a lifetime of living. So it was not for her son. It has benefited so many children, some of my students, of course, my child, other young adults. It goes way back. So I did not really have a question for her, but I did want to take the opportunity to compliment her as an artist and a writer, and she is both and exceptional. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alma. I love you.
Okay. I didn't want to take up any more time in case there were, other callers, but I just wanted to be the first to compliment her.
I'm so
you
glad
so much.
you called in. I'm so glad, Alma, you called in. And I love it because it doesn't matter whether, when people call in, it doesn't matter whether they know you or not. The fact that they take time to just give you the props that you deserve, give you that encouragement, give you that feedback. I love it when people call in and just help us out there. I know you were kind of moved. I know you were very moved to get Alma's comment. And what does that kind of help you, just as an illustrator, as someone who's known you for a long time, they call and say, hey, you're doing great. How does that help you feel? I want you to encourage those out there who have not, done their dream or completed their dream, and to get that kind of encouragement.
I mean, it does put you back in the studio, which is a lonely place sometimes. The studio is, I'm working with God and a pad, or and I'm working alone. So to hear when I go out to conferences or I meet people and they come up and they know me, they hug me and they know me through my work, which is what my father had told me when I was a little girl. When I said, I'm going to be an artist and I'm going to paint people all over the world. And my father said, yeah, you will, that you would work and that you have a gift, and that gift came from God, and that you should make sure that it does exactly that it does good, and that's it. And so I love hearing that. I met Alma when I was 14 and she was 10 because I was her camp leader, and I taught art, actually, in the summer camps. The priest put me in a teaching position, and I actually taught children until I went away to college myself and became a teacher myself later in life.
Oh, wow, it's beautiful, and I'm so glad to hear that you have such a longevity with your art. I think that's just absolutely beautiful. I think when people have that longevity with their art, it makes it that much more precious to get the type of recognition that you have. And so what I wanted to do, I want you to kind of peel back the veil. Tell us in your own words who you are to others.
Who I am to others?
I'm sorry, about yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Oh, who I am to Jan. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I think I know me. I actually, speaking last week, I'm volunteering with a group of middle school children, and I'm actually working with them in writing. And our first project is the question you're just saying, and that is, who are you? I want you to write, and then I want you to. It's kind of like a fable. I want them to do fables, but it's to make a story. In that story, make yourself not the nice guy. Something in your life that you did that you're not proud of, but that has changed your life because you know that it's not a nice thing and that you never would do that again. And so when you ask that, I have lived my whole life. When I was 15, I went to a school for the physically challenged, and there was a girl who was, all of us were visibly challenged. I was on crutches, sometimes a wheelchair, but this beautiful girl had you couldn't tell, but she was very quiet and beautiful, and I envied her because she was beautiful and quiet and never, spoke or anything like that. And she just looked like royalty. She had this nature, and I envied her. And we both were going for the same part in the Cleopatra play. And I was mean to her. I didn't do anything, but I was mean inside, in my spirit, because I was jealous of her. And that week was just really bad because I was just so ugly. And the school bus came out the next week. And when we pull up to the house and we wait for the mother to bring the child out. Well, this is high school. She brought the mother came out to the door and said Priscilla, her name was Priscilla, said Priscilla was in the hospital. And I was sick to my stomach immediately. And so I was sick the rest of the night. And then the next day, the mother came out and said Priscilla Reed had passed. Wow. We found out later that all of the kids were all physically challenged, but Priscilla Reed's heart was the thing that was broken. And so we couldn't see her damages, but she was the most damaged, the most challenged, and she passed. And I, for the rest of my life, I said, I will never again allow those even feelings to enter my body. I will appreciate beauty. I will look at the beauty in someone and say, oh, this beauty is on earth for all of us to enjoy. And her spirit and her nature has been with me ever since. And so I'm having these middle grade kids write and be honest, be who you are. And I can say my father gave us all blessings to stay at the table, and my blessing was, blessed are the pure at heart, for they shall see God. I have walked with that through my whole entire life. And I thank Priscilla Reed, not that, that she had to go, but that has been with me the rest of my life. And I'm a grandmother, so my granddaughter is 16.
Oh, my gosh. I love that story, and I like what you're doing with the kids. I think sometimes we want to focus on all the good things that we do and all the things that we do right, and then the things that we do wrong, we don't want to necessarily focus on that because then we realize that we're flawed. And so I like the fact that you're encouraging kids to be honest about themselves now, be honest about who you are now. And for those of you who are hanging online and you would like to speak to Jan, you certainly can by simply pressing 1, and we'll get your question and comment. A question or comment on the show. So I see you guys wanting to talk to her. If you want to just talk to her, press 1 and I'll get your call. The one thing I want to ask you is that when it comes to your journey to writing and publishing and illustrating your book, how does that look like? How did it all happen for you?
Well, mine was kind of a Cinderella story, so it's a little strange. But sometimes people say, no, Jan, it really wasn't a Cinderella story because you have been doing this your entire life. I was 4 when I told my father that I was an artist and I drew. And he had these Bibles, and I would go in and try to copy the pictures out of the Bibles and all that. But it sounds like a Cinderella story because it was years later that I met the wonderful author, Eloise Greenfield, at an autographing. She was autographing, and I came and I gave her a print, and I had admired her work for years, and she had her positive images of African American people, which was exactly what I sought out because I saw these beautiful babies. My mother had 14 kids, and I was a big sister, so I saw these beautiful faces every year in my life, and I'm thinking, where are they? Why don't I see them in books, and why don't I, and so I decided I was going to help get them there. So I met Eloise Greenfield, and I left her a portrait, and she called me, and her mother was working on the book. Her mother was Leslie Jones Little. That was my first children's book. I went to New York, and I took my art because she gave me the lead to go to one of the top publishing houses, Putnam and Grosset, and where I met Patricia Lee Gouch, editor-in-chief at the time, who was also a really fabulous author. And I met her, and I showed my work, and the first book happened while I was in New York. That was Children of Long Ago by Leslie Jones Little. That was my first book, and that was 80 books ago.
Oh, wow. I love that story, and I actually think it is a Cinderella story. I think it's a wonderful Cinderella story, and I'd like to continue on that conversation in just a few moments. We're going to go ahead and take a quick short break. When we come back, we'll be taking your calls for Jan, as well as having Jan give us some more about her journey and about her advice to other children's book authors and illustrators. If you want to weigh in, you certainly can by calling in at 646-668-8485, then press 1 to be live on air, or you can hit me on Twitter at Parker J. Cole, hashtag Right Stuff with your questions and comments. We're going to go ahead and take a quick short break. We'll be right back.
Don't go anywhere. More with Parker and her guests on the Right Stuff Radio Show. We'll be right back.
Are you a reader looking for more compelling Christian fiction? Maybe something a little more edgy or a bit more real? Are you tired of most Christian fiction shying away from the truth and settling for a rose-tinted view of the world and its issues? Or are you an author who has a compelling story to tell, but you're afraid it doesn't jive with today's brand of Christian or secular fiction? Are you tired of Christian publishers telling you that your content is too edgy? Or maybe you've tried submitting your content under the radar to secular publishers only to be told your themes are a bit too religious? We invite you to take a look at the Crossover Alliance. We are an online publishing company that specializes in edgy Christian speculative fiction with Christian themes and real-world content. Our company is formed from authors and readers just like you who are breaking into the mainstream and Christian markets with this compelling genre. Head over to the www.thecrossoveralliance.com for all the details on who we are, what we do, and what we accept. Right now, if you sign up for our email newsletter, you'll receive a free digital copy of our first short story anthology. Check us out today and help us spread the word about the Crossover Alliance, where light shines brighter in the darkness.
Have you read the latest issue of SORMAG Digital, the award-winning literary magazine for multicultural readers and writers? SORMAG Digital is available quarterly and showcases interviews with the best authors in multicultural literature. SORMAG Digital features craft and business articles for those interested in writing. If you're looking for a good book, check out our book reviews on what's hot in multicultural literature. For writers looking for new readers to get in front of, SORMAG Digital is the perfect place to introduce your book. We offer advertising spaces that fit your promotional budget. Get your free subscription on SORMAG.com or order a print issue on magcloud.com. If you would like more information about SORMAG Digital, check us out on sormag.com or contact us at sormag@yahoo.com. SORMAG Digital is the magazine for multicultural readers and writers.
We're back, and you're hanging out with the queen of Tuesday night, Parker J. and her guests, right here on The Right Stuff.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. You're listening to The Right Stuff here on WPJC 104.5. So excited you are here. We got a number of callers calling in and want to talk to Jan. Jan is an award-winning illustrator of children's books, such as The Great Migration, Journey to the North, Nathaniel Talking, and My America. She has received an award from Coretta Scott King and the Parents' Choice Award for her illustrations. Once again, Jan, thank you so much for being with me on the show. I do have a caller calling in. I have Brody calling in from Orlando, Florida. Brody, how you doing today?
Good.
And what's your question for Ms. Gilchrist?
Hi, Miss Jan. This is Brody.
Hi, Brody.
Hi. My favorite book is My America. I love reading it to my sister Reese. The illustration of the lady's face and the ocean is my favorite. Did you use it in another book? It looks familiar.
Oh, I did not, but it's, you know what it is, Brody, style. And Brody is mine. Brody lives in Florida. His mother is an author. And so I love Brody and his little sister Reese. Brody, tell him how old you are.
7.
Oh my.
So thank you very much for calling. And no, I didn't use that, but it's my style. And do you know what I mean by style?
No.
Okay. That means that when I draw, I tend to, without even knowing it, it just happens that I end up, it's like my signature. It's like when I write my name and I write it the same way or close to the same way every time, where my art comes out the same way. So sometimes it's like my signature art. So thank you for noticing that.
Okay, I love that.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Brody, did you have another question for Ms. Jan?
No.
Okay, Brody, thank you so much for calling in and letting Ms. Jan know you like that book and you like her style.
Okay,
thank you
bye.
very much, Brody. Bye.
I love you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's so cute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
so
love
cute.
it. I absolutely love that he would be so moved by that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm surprised he never told me that.
And we do have another call. We have Joanna calling in from Rochester Hills, Michigan. Joanna, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. You have a question or comment for our guest?
Oh, hi, Joanna. I don't know you, so this is great.
Hi. I just wanted to know, I write a little bit myself, and I wish I could get illustrations for my stories, but I was wondering, what gets you into the mood to actually draw? Is it similar to a writer, to where you need a little bit of a muse to do it, to get into the groove of your illustrating?
Okay, and that's a great question because I'm a fine artist, and what I say is I was born an artist. I've been doing this my entire life. It's like my name. I don't know when I started drawing, where it began. And where I end, art begins and where Jan ends. I don't know at all. So that's a great question. When I go into my studio and I'm doing my fine art, then I'm inspired by whatever happened to me at that moment, at that day, that week, what's going on in my life and all of that. But my inspiration as an illustrator, it comes from the words of the authors. The author is giving me just this beautiful words and this beautiful images and stories that I have to take and deliver to the children. So I'm kind of like the middleman, I feel. And then it's like my mom had these babies. They were newborn. That was my job, to take care of them. So I take care of the author's baby. And, and I take the message that the author has and give it to the child. I don't get in the middle of that. I don't change that. I enhance it and illuminate it. So that's a great question.
Joanna,
well, thank you.
Joanna, thank you for calling into the show. I really appreciate that question. And it's actually a very good question because I know that as a writer, I have to get into a certain mood or a certain place. Sometimes, and my mood usually involves my dog. I have a dog. And sometimes she'll sit next to me or sit on my feet. And for some reason, that just gets me in the writing mood. If she's, sometimes I have to have a mood. So it's interesting to see kind of like the same thing, just differently, and the same thing with the illustrator. In my mind, I would think, oh, you would just draw whatever you want, or it would just come easy to you. But I guess like all art, which is an expression of the soul, you need to still be able to express whatever that's coming through. I like how you said you're the middleman. You're not trying to overpower the author's message that they want. And so that brings me to a question I want to ask you is, how do you help a children's author come up with the vision for their book? So they contact you. How do you help them with that vision that they have?
Okay, and so first, I don't. I am the creator is the author. The author is the creator. I'm going to explain that because I collaborated with Eloise Greenfield on 29 books. This wonderful woman who was already acclaimed when I met her. We ended up going on a 26-year journey and completing 29 books collaborating together. The one great thing about our collaboration was I was an illustrator and she was the author. And even though she was acclaimed already and way ahead of me, years ahead of me, she never stepped into my lane. She always respected that I was the illustrator and she was the author. And I always respected that she was the author. So because we were able to do that, each of us were able to give our expertise. We were each able to relax and enjoy, and I would listen to her beautiful words. Sometimes I would take them and hear them back in my voice, but I actually read when I would go out, always. Anytime I presented her work, I read it. And that's just what I do with my authors, because it's their words. That's where the images came from. It's not a gallery showing of my work. So I never impose myself on the words of that author. I enhance it, though. So there are things that the author may not have seen in their own words that it's the background, is the framing of the stories that they're giving the children. So this is what I give. And so I make sure that I'm not drawing a beautiful chair if there's no chair. There may be a chair in a vision in that work, but I am not trying to take over. I am just illuminating, taking care of the baby, and passing it on to the child.
Oh, I see. And I like the way you describe that whole process. And I know for those of us out there who are children's book authors, particularly children's book author, you want to be able, I guess you would say that you want an illustrator to be able to see your vision and still respect that it is your work, that you're just there to help illuminate that vision. Am I saying it correctly, Jan?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And so another question I want to ask you is that when it comes to children's book authors, and I know you've written a couple of books yourself, but when it comes to children's book authors, what are some unique opportunities that they have that are unique to the industry? Like, there's a lot of books out there. I write certain kinds of books. Oh, he writes certain kinds of books. But what is about children's book authors that is unique to the whole book industry?
Well, number one, we're working for the most wonderful people, little people, young people. We are given the privilege of giving them inspiration, giving them, and we have to be careful. So there are things that are unique to us because we have to be careful. Because when you hand a child a book, it's real to them. You're giving them permission to believe what's between those two covers. And so I don't take it for granted. So when I'm giving these images and I'm writing or thinking of anything that's going to be handed to a child, I know that I am in a special place and that I have an obligation to always protect and take care of that baby, which it's both babies. So that's author's words, and then I'm giving it to a child. And I taught for 10 years. I've taught my whole life, as I said, starting at 14. And I've taught from pre-K all the way through the university level. I've actually taught teachers. So I know that I've always worked for the most valuable people on earth, and that's children. So I think that responsibility is what authors have, that children's authors have. And I think that's a precious thing, and it's a wonderful thing. And I get hugs when I go out to autograph. I'm autographing, and little people like Brody's 7 years old, and they come up and they know my work.
I think you hit it right on the nail, and I'm glad you really expanded on that, because you are part of a child's development. You're a part of how they're going to react to the world. And it's kind of cool how Brody, when he called in, he said, this looks familiar. Did you copy it from somewhere? And you're like, no, that's my style. And he recognizes that. And I think that's just a wonderful, wonderful thing for a child to do, that you're actually aiding in his development. You're aiding his development to do that. And then that he can relate to the pictures, and he likes his favorite book. And so I really liked how you expanded on that. And the next question I have for you is, and I think you already talked about this, but if you haven't, let me know. So I am of the personal belief that any kind of art is an expression of the soul. And so how is illustrating an expression of that?
Well, the thing about illustration, okay, if I'm doing a picture book, and it's 50% the author, 50% the illustrator. So when the author's word leaves off, I bring a picture. I mean, you wouldn't say the pink dress if you're a picture book author. You would say the dress, and then I would make it pink. So that soul of the author and the soul of the illustrator coming together is a wonderful thing. If they can come together in the same place, and then bring this child this message, that soul is already there, because the author has already given it, and then I am here to eliminate it. So in my work, when I'm working in the studio and it's just Jan and God, I can't help not have my soul there. I can't. My spirit is just there. It's not something I'm working at or I think about. I am just giving honestly of myself, which is what I was saying to the children that I'm working with now. First off, you have to be honest with yourself and know who you are, and then not be afraid to admit that there's maybe some things that are ugly there, and then therefore you can fix them. If you don't recognize them, then you can't fix them. So when I'm in my art, it's the same thing. I am in the studio, I am being myself, and then I'm using the tools and the education to hone my skills to bring about whatever spirit I have, because it's there. I mean, I can't fake that. So yes, that soul is, you want to make it right before you go into the studio.
I love that. And when we come back, we're going to be talking more with Jan about her work, about a day in her life, some more questions about what she does. If you have questions, I see you hanging online, you want to ask a question, simply press 1, and I'll make sure to get your question or comment to Jan. I know that she would love to hear from you. And you can just simply do that by calling in at 646-668-8485, and then press 1 to be live on air. Or hit me on Twitter at ParkerJCole, #WriteStuff, with your questions and comments. We're going to go ahead and take a quick short break. We'll be right back.
Don't go anywhere. More with Parker and her guest on the Right Stuff Radio Show. We'll be right back.
Authors, are you looking for a new way to get your book in the hands of new audience of targeted buyers? Then a virtual book tour is for you. Right now, virtual book tours is an excellent opportunity for you to introduce your book and who you are as an author. Launching your book is very important. A virtual book tour will connect you with readers. We at WNL, we specialize in book tours, book blasts, radio tours, cover reveals, and Facebook chat. Promoting and marketing your book is what we do. Online publicity, the exposure and the publicity is what you need. Let us help you reach new readers and a new audience. We take care of everything so you don't have to. We set up the tour for you. We connect you with bloggers to advertise your book by way of interviews, guest posts, and reviews. If you are an author of a newly published book, have an upcoming release, or just want to give a previously published book new life, a virtual book tour is your answer. Check our tours out at www.wnlbooktours.com. Visit me on Facebook. I am the owner, Paulette Harper.
Engaging the culture's imagination through speculative fiction, the Untold Podcast produces audio fiction from a Christian worldview. Find us over at untoldpodcast.com, where we partner with authors to tell science fiction, fantasy, supernatural, and horror stories. Find links at untoldpodcast.com to subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, and a variety of other platforms. Each month we produce high-quality audio fiction that's free to download and free to listen. Our submissions are open, and we're always looking to add another great story to over 24 hours of narrative entertainment. Find all of our audio fiction over at www.untoldpodcast.com.
We're back, and you're hanging out with the queen of Tuesday night, Parker J., and her guests, right here on The Right Stuff.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. I am so glad you are here with me. We've been having such a wonderful time talking to Jan Spivey Gilchrist. She is an award-winning children's book illustrator. She's known for her books, The Great Migration, Journey to the North, Nathaniel Talking, and My America, definitely approved by our caller, Brody, who is 7 years old. That is his favorite book, and he called just to let her know that. And I'm so excited when we get these calls and people call in, because it lets the person that's on the other end know that we appreciate what you do for us, and that Jan has used her gift of art that she's always had to help bring joy, imagination, and development to our children. If you want to get more information about Jan, she's going to tell you how you can do that by simply going to her website and following her. And Jan, once again, thanks for being with me on the show to continue to delve into who Jan is. And so in order to do that, I got to ask you, what's a day in your life like?
An illustrator, an author, an artist dreams a lot. And when we say dream, I remember being very, very young, and I grew up in a house with, 14 children, and I was 10th from the bottom and 5th from the top, and I was a big sister overnight. So I had a lot of responsibilities. My job was to take care of the babies. My mother had a baby almost every year. That was my job. So I would be dreaming. I would be daydreaming somewhere all the time and sketching. And that was just, I had no idea that would be the rest of my life. But a day in my life is about the same as it was when I was a teenager, when my mother wasn't saying, get up and go do something. Because whatever I was doing, if I was washing dishes, I was dreaming. If I was, the only times that I could actually dream was when I actually had a baby in my arms. I would draw the babies when they were lying in the bed and things like that. Well, that is still going on. I am still constantly looking at art, reading novels, reading about art. It's really crazy, but I was ill once, and the doctor said, you need to relax. And what do you do for relaxation? And I said, well, I do art. He says, what? I said, I paint. And he said, well, write. And he said, well, but that's your work. And I said, you see, that choice was made a long time ago. And this is why I say to young people all the time, I am so happy I'm a grandma, because the thing that I love the most, I'm doing for life. And that's a selection I offer to my children. Make sure whatever you choose, that you love to do it, because that's going to get you up. That's going to make you happy. And I am very happy with my life as an artist illustrator.
I like that you said that, because it brings me to my next question. The next question I have is this: how can someone who wants to illustrate break into the industry? What kind of advice do you have for them?
Well, it's easier today to know where the publishers are, because it's all online and everything like that. The most important thing I told my students, and I want to say that I said that to everyone, and that is to make yourself valuable. Work on your work. I've studied. I have the degrees that don't necessarily make you good, but studying it constantly. I study with my eyes. I study with workshops, classes. I don't take anything for granted. I think of myself. Sometimes I say, well, okay, one of my really good friends was a surgeon, and she would talk to me about how great I was and how you produce art for the world. And I'm saying, oh, are you kidding? You save lives. And she said, and so do you. And you make them happy. And so I never thought of it that way. But I always thought that I want to bring beauty. Priscilla Reed was a beautiful person that was on earth and gave this beauty to the world. And I want to, it's a desire. It's corny, and I'm corny because I love looking at things that are beautiful. I love helping to produce things. I like creating, to have a life that tomorrow is always different. I love that.
One of the things I noticed about your books is how beautifully drawn the African American children and characters of your books are. And one thing that I do talk about in this show a lot of times is having that multicultural, diverse plethora of ideas and books like that. And I really, when I looked at some of your books, I was just really blown away at the illustrations. So go ahead, give us your thoughts. You can get on your soapbox if you want to, but give us your thoughts about the need for more diversity in children's literature.
I always amazes me because I'm a teacher, and I'm always teaching. I mean, I'm a forever teacher, like I'm a forever artist. I am amazed at when a child sits down, a child of color sits down to take an exam. I always think it's unfair because if you're sitting down and you're taking the same exam, but you don't come with the same encouragement, inspiration, you don't see yourself, and you're taking the same exam. You read a book about a little girl who just looks nothing like you, who doesn't have the same experiences that you have, and you read this book, and you have to be just as inspired as the child who's reading the book, the subject looks just like them and has the same experiences. I think that needs to change. I think that we live in a country where everybody looks different and they're beautiful, like flowers. You don't want to change anybody. You just want to appreciate the beauty of everybody. But everybody should see everybody. Little Brody, Barcelona, looks at a book with lots of people. This is his favorite book. Brody has blue eyes. He sees blue eyes in that book, but he also sees people that are brown and people who have brown eyes. And he sees people who come from everywhere in the world because My America is a celebration of our diversity in this country. And that's the book he uses for. That's the book that he chose as his favorite book, which has really warmed my heart today because that's the book that has everybody. And that's how children are. If we don't destroy them, they love all the different things in the world. They love beauty. And I taught preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, high school, and college. That is something that is just a natural thing. When my mother's babies were born, they would reach up and touch your face. They love beauty. They would smile when it's a smile. They would frown when it's a frown. Children love and appreciate beauty for everybody. And I think that we should definitely work on making sure that the things that they see are a celebration of everybody.
I like the passion in your voice when you talk about that. And I was actually thinking of my own experience because my husband is Caucasian, and my sister-in-law has two of the just precious ones, the absolutely precious ones. And the first baby, when he was born, he was cool with everybody. You could have been purple and polka dots. He was fine. And her second one, when she was born, it was so cute because I remember she did a double take when she first saw him. She was like 7 months old or something. And at 3 months, what do you know? You're still a baby. He's trying to figure out, what's this thing at the end of my feet? What's that? Oh, my toes, And she became fascinated with me for a long time. And then, and she just made me smile. And I have a great picture of her with me for a Thanksgiving picture. And I said, this is my niece. you know. And it was kind of cool to see it didn't matter how we look different, but that is my family, you know. And I totally resonate with what you're saying that. And I like how you say how children love beauty. And you're interesting. Whatever you look like, you're interesting. I remember for another one, I have some Korean friends, and my godsons had never seen Korean people before. My first godson, when he saw a Korean guy, he said, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" But my littlest one, who had never seen a Korean person before, he just stared like he was looking at an alien. He just stared and stared and stared, and then they actually got over it. You know, after a few minutes, they got over it. But it's just knowing and opening their eyes to the different types of beauty that people exhibit. And I think that is like the core of your message there. And I really, really like that. And I think anyone listening in on our show can understand that. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that you have to restrict your ideas to just diverse characters. If your characters are one particular ethnic group, that's fine. I totally think that's okay, you know. But as long as you expose your children to different types of diverse multi-ethnic diverse books, I think that really helps ground them and develop them, and they won't be so awkward when it comes to meeting different people and stuff like that. And you can always correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Jan. You can always correct me. So I really like the passion in your voice about that and just how you describe it all as beauty. One thing, and I looked on Wikipedia when I was getting ready for the show, one thing it mentioned was that you want to show positive images of African-American children, especially African-American children. And when you look at your books, you see that. And tell us a little bit more about that desire to show those positive images. Tell us a little more about that desire.
Oh, well, I grew up in a time where when I looked at images of African-American people, they were ugly. And that's just the truth. I'm a very honest person. They were ugly. Mm-hmm. They were stereotypical depictions, big bulging eyes, oversized lips. They were to poke fun at. And I was a child, so it was painful. It hurt. And as I said, I saw a baby born every year. I didn't see any of these get born. I never saw any ugly baby get born. And then I would look at children all the time because that's what I loved doing. I loved drawing little children, and I used to. As a teenager, I sat in art shows and sketched, and people would bring their babies year after year. I'm sure there are some 50-year-olds out there who have drawings that I've done, and maybe 60. I hope not 60. But I know there's 50-year-olds out there whose parents brought them to me to draw the babies. They were beautiful. So it was painful to see these ugly depictions representing the children. My America was inspired by my son. My son, who decided in preschool that he was going to, I told my children, I had two children, you can be anything you want. My daughter said she wanted to be a lawyer. So my son, who had a wonderful preschool teacher, was shown the globe. And she showed the kids the globe, and he came home and he said, Mom, did you know that I live up here? And he's showing, where North America is. And then he says, and the Chinese people live here, down here. Do you know if we go through this floor, I could be in China? I said, you could? And he said, yeah. And he said, I decided I'm going to be Chinese. And I said, now what do I do with this? What do I do with this? So I said to him, well, if you're going to be Chinese, then you're going to have to speak the language. You're going to have to live in China. You're going to have to go through that floor. This is terrible. I'm sorry about this.
Oh, you're fine.
That phone went off. And so right there at 3, and I said, that means you have to study everything about that culture. That 3-year-old began that day. Every presentation he did at school, I bought him the little jacket. He did science for everything. He was always studying. He could look at a map and he can go and pick, Zoo High and places. He was amazing. And he grew all the way. He ended up speaking fluent Mandarin. When he graduated, he majored in international relations, Asian studies. He went to Bowdoin College in Maine. Then he went to Cornell and then Beijing University. After college, he moved to China, lived in Zhuhai, Singapore, Beijing, and then moved to Singapore. He's been in Singapore. He spoke fluent Mandarin to get his job for Google Singapore, as the Chinese representative.
Wow.
So when I speak to children, I said, you have your dream. My dream was to be an artist. And I dreamed in way. My father's advice was the same thing. You got to work it. You have to get up every day and work toward that dream. And you have to make sure that I always tell the kids, hurting themselves, smoking, drinking, doing all these things that interfere with your dream won't get you there. But if you stay on that road to that dream, my son's, that was his dream. So he is now considered the black Chinese man in Singapore. His name is William Gilchrist, and you could actually Google him and see that he has always worked toward that. And that I tell to my students all the time, I didn't know what to say to him. He is an African American man, but he learned everything about the Chinese culture. When he was asked by Dr. Margaret Burroughs, who was my husband's teacher, she looked down at William and she said, "Why did you choose China? You're a black boy. You're a black." He said, "Yeah, because I want everybody in the world to know that black boys are really smart and really nice. I'm a black boy, but I learned Chinese." And that was his answer. I had no idea. Why? Because I didn't want to interfere with his dream. I didn't want to say, snap out of it. You're an African-American boy, and that's all. No, he's an African-American boy who knows Chinese culture. There's nothing wrong with that.
And it isn't. And it's such an inspiring story. You know, I for myself, I kind of relate to that in some way because I got into Japanese when I was in, I believe, middle school, either middle school or high school. I really can't remember now, but I got into Japanese, and then I love Japanese. I love learning a new language. It really opened my horizons and learning. And then now I'm learning Korean now, and I want to learn my Japanese and Korean together. But it gets a little bit mixed up because sometimes like, oh wait, this is not Japanese. This is Korean and stuff like that. And I really resonate with that, and I like that. And I think the more you broaden your horizons, I think that helps with communicating with people who are different from you. And if you can speak their language, talk their language, understand their culture, then you can help mitigate some of the stereotypes that happen. And so with your writing, your illustrations showing African-American children, beautiful children, not the old-fashioned, big lip, bulgy eye, and just dark skin. There's different shades of brown and amber and almond and coconut and different shades of this.
The ones that are in front of you. Right. Yeah. The ones that are in front of you. That's what I'm saying. I don't have to make them up. I know what I meant. When I was doing a lecture once, and it was an adult lecture. It was about illustration. So I said, I want to have everybody here draw a tree. People were saying, oh, I don't know how to draw. I don't know how to. No. Just want you to draw a tree. I mean, just close your eyes of a tree or do whatever it takes for you to draw a tree. Do whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. The winner of that experiment was the student that got up and went out and looked out the window. Because if you close your eyes, that tree is a stereotype. That is what you've seen before. You're not even looking at. Maybe they changed. Every day there was a new baby. Every year, I'm sorry, not every day, thank God. Every year there was a new baby in my house. And every one of those babies was beautifully different. Even though they had the same mother and father, they were beautifully different. That is a wonderful message that I had growing up, that you look. They're right there. There's a beautiful person right there, not a stereotype.
We are just having just the most wonderful conversation with Jan Spivey Gilchrist. She is an award-winning illustrator of children's books, most known for her children's books, The Great Migration, Journey to the North, Nathaniel Talking, and My America. When we come back from the final segment of our program, we're going to be getting some of her final thoughts and where you can find her online, things of that nature. If you're interested in her possibly doing one of your children's books, how you can contact her. Lots of good stuff coming back when we get back from the break. You still have a chance to call in, though. If you want to make a comment or say thank you for her illustrations or whatever you want to talk to her about, call in at 646-668-8485. Press 1 to be live on air. We'll hold the line just for you. We'll be right back.
Don't go anywhere. More with Parker and her guest on the Right Stuff Radio Show. We'll be right back.
Have you dreamed about writing a book but didn't know how to start? Or are you an established author who's looking to grow in your career? There's a brand new opportunity for writers of all genres to come together for training, fellowship, connections, and fun. Join us this summer, June 22nd, 23rd, and 24th in Southern California for the SoCal Christian Writers Conference. You can register for 1, 2, or all 3 days. Each day is packed with instruction and opportunities to progress in your writing expertise and career. This conference offers a stellar lineup of faculty along with continuing education sessions for every genre, from fiction to nonfiction, music to screenplays, and so much more. There's even a track for teens. Plan your family vacation around this conference. Register.
We're back, and you're hanging out with the queen of Tuesday night, Parker J. and her guests, right here on The Right Stuff.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. You're listening to The Right Stuff here on WPJC 104.5. So glad you're here with me. Been having a wonderful time talking to Jan Spivey Gilchrist. And then, Jan, again, thank you for being with us on the show and just really helping us unpack what it's like to be an illustrator, how you connect with authors, just your journey, your thoughts and ideas about what you do. I want people to have an opportunity to contact you via social media or your online presence. So go ahead and tell us what your online social media hookups are.
I think they're all there. Like my email, it's something I'd like you to have. It's my name, so it's Jan Spivey Gilchrist at Comcast.net. So if you want to write to me or about working with me or having me come to your school to visit or whatever. And then also Balkan Buddies, B as in boy, A-L-K-I-N, Buddies, like friends. BalkanBuddies.com is a way to contact me. HarperCollins is one of my publishers, is a way to contact me. I think that's it. But if you Google Jan, you'll find me. if you Google Jan Spivey Gilchrist, you'll find me someplace. And but I did. I'm sorry.
No, please continue.
I did want to know if it was okay that I say that this is the year, the centennial birthday year for the first African-American Pulitzer Prize-winning poet, author, Gwendolyn Brooks. And she was a poet laureate for the state of Illinois for nearly 50 years. But she was the first Pulitzer Prize winner of any African-American. This is her 100th birthday, June 7th, 1917. She was born. I illustrated a picture book, We Are Shining, by Gwendolyn Brooks. It's a poem by her. And I illustrated and designed a young adult book called Seasons that is a 160-page book that includes her poems and her novel, the only novel that she did, and the Young People's Primer. And the other book that's coming out this year by me is The Thumbtack Dancer by Leslie Tryon. Leslie Tryon, The Thumbtack Dancer. But those books are coming out this year, and so if you're interested in talking to me, email me.
And Jan, I want to say, before we go, I always ask our guests to encourage those aspiring authors. But today I want you to encourage those aspiring illustrators, those dreamers, those painters, those whatever they want to do. I want you to inspire those aspiring artists out there. Just give us some of your final thoughts to help them.
You have to study art. You must perfect your style, your skill, unlike anybody else's. Some of my young people say, well, I don't do realism. Don't do it. Do what you do. Be true to yourself, but hone that skill. Educate yourself. Sometimes it's not a degree. It may be workshops, but stay there. Know that you are a product, and you produce a product, and you want it to be the best product that you can do, and then work. But the work is fun. This is not work like you're going to be unhappy with. This is work that's going to bring you joy. So just work, and every day, and then dream. Take time out to dream.
Jan, thank you so much for being with us on the show today. I really, really enjoyed having you. Can't wait to have you back when we talk about some of your other works that you have. I'm looking forward to having you. So thank you so much for being with us on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I love this.
And we were talking today to Jan Spivey Gilchrist. She is an award-winning illustrator that's known for her works, The Great Migration, Journey to the North, Nathaniel Talking, and My America. If you want to get more information about her, simply go to her website, janspiveygilchrist.com, or you can go to her publisher's website, Balkan Buddies, BALKIN, buddies.com. If you want to talk to her about commissions, also contact her there, and she'll be able to connect with you and let you know what she can do and all that good stuff. You can email her at janspiveygilchrist@comcast.net. I want to thank Jan for being with us on the show. I usually, like I said before, at the beginning of the broadcast, I usually showcase authors, but it's been such rewarding and so refreshing to have a different aspect when it comes to art, especially as someone who is more visually stimulated and things of that nature. It's been just fun listening to her expressions, how she spoke about things, how she talked about certain things. It's been wonderful having her with us on the show. Can't wait to have her back to continue to expand on that. And I want to encourage you all out there. If you're a children's book author, if you're a children's book illustrator, but you haven't picked up the pen to write or picked up the sketch pad to draw, why not do it today? Why wait till tomorrow? Do it right now. If you're listening to Sound My Voice, do it right now. God has given you that gift. Why sit on it? Go ahead, draw stuff and write stuff. Thank you so much for joining me for this edition of The Right Stuff. You have a wonderful, absolutely glorious, blessed day from the Queen of Tuesday Nights, Parker J.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of The Right Stuff. Follow Parker online at parkerjcole.com. To hear this show and other shows, visit the show archive at therightstuffradio.wordpress.com. We'll be back same time next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Time.